Good morning, beautiful wives. We are here for another dare from the Respect Dare 40 days for a deeper connection with God and with your husband. So today's dare is dare 31 and it's called a spectator sport. The verse of today is Proverbs 21:9 and it says, "Better to live on a corner of the roof than a house with a quarrelsome wife." Than to share a house with a quarrelsome wife. So on this there, the author shares about this woman that sat outside with her husband while he was doing I don't know what on his workshop, and she had all these thoughts coming in like, oh my gosh, this is such a waste of time. What am I doing here? I have so much to do inside. And she just sat there, and at the end her husband really thanked her and enjoyed her company. She starts with the following. um, we all need to work a little harder at resting in the contentment that comes from simply enjoying our husband's company on his terms once in a while. And one of the thoughts that came to her was, for some reason, this is valuable to him. And 3 times he asked her to do something, refreshing his coffee, finding a Phillips head screwdriver, or handling him the safety goggles. And at the end, he said, "Thanks for being out here with me, honey. I really enjoyed your company." He told her. And she makes a comment that her son, her little boy, always keeps telling her like, "Mommy, come here, watch me, watch me, watch me." I don't relate to that. I don't have a boy. All I have are girls. And I think that boys and girls, well, I don't think, obviously boys and girls are very different, right? Like, girls don't want you to sit there and watch them. They want you to sit there and participate with them and play with them and talk to them, right? And be active with them. And then on the bottom line it says, sometimes marriage is a spectator sport. Go shoulder to shoulder with your man and see how you build his team and how much he enjoys your company. I think I've mentioned to you guys that my husband and I co-lead a group on the love and respect. And the last class that we taught, the last class that we led, was well, the part that the woman leads, which was my part, was called shoulder to shoulder friendship. How shoulder to shoulder friendship demonstrates respect to our husbands. And I've read this book 100 times in the last 13 years. And honestly, I had never seen it the way that I did this time. I had such a beautiful revelation. I would always tell my husband that I need friendships, right? I need eye to eye, face to face connection and friendship, and, just talking and pouring hearts out, and things like that, because that's how I feel connected, and I think that's true for most women, right? When I read that, like, it just hit me, like, he needs it as much as I do, but it's different for him. Instead of being face to face, we're talking and experiencing each other. For him, it's shoulder to shoulder, doing things together, and then I started thinking, like, he really enjoys sitting in front of the TV with me and watching movies, that I can care less for, and he really enjoys, like, some shoulder to shoulder activities that we do. We do a lot of wine tasting together, and he really enjoys that. There's not a lot of talking involved, because we are experiencing the wine, really, He really enjoys going shooting with me, and there is no talking involved at all because it's super loud in there, and you're wearing like these huge earphones. So, in other words, I became to analyze what is important to him, and it hit me, like he really enjoys this shoulder to shoulder activities, like sometimes, not sometimes, twice a day at least. He will come to my office and take a seat and just sit there, like doing nothing. While I'm doing stuff, and sometimes he would just call me to his office. We both work at home. His office is downstairs, mine is upstairs, which you guys have seen. And he would just call me to his office, and I'm like, yes, can I help you? And he's like, can just sit here. And in my mind, I'm like, no, why am I just gonna sit here? Like, I have things to do, like I have way better places and ways to spend my time, and I had never stopped to think about just how important it is for him to have my presence there, until a few weeks ago when I read this chapter of the Love and Respect, and I realized that in the same way that I need the face-to-face friendship with him and connection, like deep emotional conversations and things like that, he needs the shoulder-to-shoulder time with me without talking much, because to him, those experiences together and just my presence there really revives him, and it rejoices him and energizes him. Our presence energizes our husbands. When we sit there and begin to talk and complain and nag and da 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 da, then of course it's not pleasant. But if we're just sitting there enjoying their company, doing nothing, it's very pleasant to them, and it energizes them, and I mean, I don't know if this is obvious for some of you, but it wasn't to me, and I just got this like poof, in my mind a couple of weeks ago when I was reading that. And, before when we used to watch a movie together, I would bring a book or I would be on my phone, while he's watching the movie because I don't really care for it, and then like he would always ask me like, oh, did you see this and did you see that and da 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 da, like about the movie, meaning indirectly he was telling me, I want you to just be here with me, like it's not just your physical presence. I want you to be here, like put the phone away, put the book away, put whatever away, just be with me, and again, I had never understood that, In fact, I used to get annoyed, like, oh my gosh, can't you see that I'm not really watching because I don't care about it, I'm just here, But really, it was important to him that I wasn't just there physically, I was there with my whole being, just like it is important to me that he is there for me with his whole being when we are talking face to face, right? I don't want him to be on his phone. I don't want his mind to be somewhere else, right? It's the same for him. It's just a different activity, and that to me was very revelational, and it makes me so much more willing and happy and content to just be with him 100% with all of my being, spirit, mind, body, soul, everything, right? I'm just there. And anyways, I wanted to share that with you guys because it was so good for me to be able to see from that perspective, and then come to this there today, and it's exactly what it's talking about, right? And so, yeah, that was that for today. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's not that for today. There's more. So at the end, she has a dare, right? Which, well, according to her, it's kind of optional. I would highly encourage you girls to do it. Reflect on the nagging wife or quarrelsome woman. It is repeated 5 times in the book of Proverbs. And if you're feeling brave, ask your husband, how are you doing in this area? So if you're feeling brave, ask him, how are you doing in this area? Ask your children, how are you doing in this area? Children are so honest. If you have teenagers, if you have like older children, ask them. I remember one time many years ago, my daughter told me that I had asked her something along those lines. It wasn't with this dare, it was way before I even knew about it. But I had asked her, like, what do you learn about being a wife when you watch me? And she had told me something along the lines that I was super bossy, that she only saw me telling my husband to do stuff, and she only saw him doing everything I told him to do, right? And that to me was such a huge warning, because I realized that I was on such autopilot, on the things that needed to be done. And again, the girls were younger, there was dinner that needed to be cooked every night. There was, I had to be driving them to school every day, and picking them up and taking them to activities and whatnot, right? So my life was at a different pace than it is today, when I don't have 2 of them are not home anymore, and the one who is either in school, she's at university, or at work, but she drives herself, she cooks for herself, like, you know what I mean? So it's a very different pace, right? So I realized when she told me that what I was transferring to them, what I was showing them, was not what I wanted to show. It was not the picture that I wanted to portray. And it doesn't mean that I didn't love my husband. It doesn't mean I didn't respect my husband. No, it means that what was being observed was not the picture that I wanted to portray. And from that day forward, I became very intentional and how I treated him, especially in front of them. When I needed for him to do something, I would ask him all together, all at once, at one time of the day, and I wouldn't talk about it anymore, because I realized how much of an impact that had on them, So anyways, it's very different today, thank God, and we do live at a different pace today, right? So if you have small children, enjoy them, because the time goes by so fast, and then when they're out of the house, the pace changes, really, So yeah, that's that. Now that's it for today. That's what I wanted to share with you. I hope you reach out and tell me how you're doing and how everything is going for you. We do have the link of the WhatsApp group on the description. So please join the WhatsApp so that we can talk, we can chat, we can share. And that's it for now. Love you. See you tomorrow.